The Holocaust is a scar on humanity's soul, a darkness that echoes through generations. It is not just history, it is a warning and a responsibility we all share. To speak of the Holocaust is to remember millions of individual lives, a child's lost toy, a mother's last embrace, a scholar's forgotten books. Understanding the Holocaust means seeing the faces behind the numbers. Silence in the face of hate is a warning to us all. The memory of the Holocaust is a moral compass, reminding us of our capacity for both evil and good. The Holocaust was the systematic, state-sponsored murder of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. It was a deliberate attempt to destroy an entire people, rooted in the Nazis' false belief in a master race. Jews were the primary targets, but millions of others, Romani, Slavs, political opponents, Jehovah's Witnesses, homosexuals, and people with disabilities, were also persecuted and killed. In total, as many as 11 million people were murdered. The Nazis used laws, propaganda, ghettos, and camps to carry out their plans. The Holocaust shows what happens when hatred becomes government policy, and prejudice goes unchallenged. We honor the victims by remembering and by building a world where such evil cannot take root. Never forget. The Holocaust began with words, an ideology of hate that took root in a wounded Germany. After World War I, Germany was defeated and humiliated, its people desperate for answers. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party rose to power by offering dangerous solutions built on racial hatred. At the core was anti-Semitism, the belief that Jews were to blame for Germany's problems. The Nazis used propaganda to spread lies, turning neighbors against neighbors. When Hitler became chancellor in 1933, hate became law. The Nuremberg laws stripped Jews of citizenship, banned intermarriage, and defined Jewishness by ancestry. Jewish children were banned from schools, businesses were boycotted, and families forced to wear the yellow Star of David. Each new law pushed Jews further to the margins, dehumanizing them step by step. This legal and social persecution created an atmosphere of fear and humiliation. The groundwork was laid for violence to follow. The Nazis' slow, deliberate process made it easier for ordinary people to accept the unthinkable. The Holocaust was not inevitable. It was built, law by law, word by word. Remember, hate begins with words. Persecution escalated from laws to violence on Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, November 1938. Nazi mobs destroyed over 1,000 synagogues and thousands of Jewish businesses, leaving streets glittering with shattered glass. Nearly 100 Jews were murdered, and 30,000 men were sent to concentration camps. Kristallnacht was a state-sanctioned pogrom, a clear message. There was no safety for Jews in Germany. Afterward, the Nazis forced Jews into ghettos, overcrowded, walled-off city sections with little food or sanitation. The Warsaw Ghetto alone held over 400,000 people in just over a square mile. Life in the ghettos was a daily struggle for survival, with starvation and disease rampant. From the ghettos, Jews were rounded up and deported in cattle cars, told they were being resettled for work. The true destination, a network of concentration and extermination camps built for mass murder. This systematic process of isolation, ghettoization, and deportation was central to the Nazis' plan. Each step stripped away hope, dignity, and life. The machinery of genocide was now in motion. The world watched, and mostly remained silent. In 1942, Nazi leaders met at Wannsee to coordinate the final solution: the total extermination of Europe's Jews. The plan round up 11 million Jews and transport them to killing centers in occupied Poland. The Nazis built railways, camps, and gas chambers for industrial-scale murder. Jews from across Europe were sent to 6 main extermination camps, including Auschwitz and Treblinka. Upon arrival, SS doctors selected who would die immediately and who would be forced into slave labor. The very young, old, and weak were sent to gas chambers disguised as showers. Those spared faced starvation, disease, and brutality. The final solution was a state-run enterprise, executed with chilling precision. It stands as a testament to how bureaucracy and technology can be twisted for evil. The concentration camps were the heart of Nazi terror, places of slave labor, torture, and mass murder. Upon arrival, prisoners were stripped of everything: clothes, names, families, dignity. They became numbers, packed into filthy barracks, surviving on starvation rations. Forced labor, disease, and brutality claimed countless lives. At the center of extermination camps were gas chambers where poison gas killed thousands at a time. The Nazis forced prisoners, the Sonderkommandos, to dispose of bodies and burn them in crematoria. These prisoners were themselves regularly killed and replaced. The camps inverted all human values. Cruelty was rewarded, compassion punished. Yet even here, people shared bread, whispered comfort, and clung to hope. The camps were designed to erase individuality, to turn people into statistics. But the stories of survivors remind us, even in the darkest places, the human spirit can endure. The world would later see the evidence: the mountains of shoes, hair, and ashes. The scale of cruelty was almost beyond belief. The camps are a warning: never let such evil take root again. Remember their names, their stories, their humanity. Even in the face of overwhelming evil, there was resistance. In the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising of 1943, Jewish fighters held off the German army for nearly a month, choosing to fight rather than be sent to death camps. Prisoners revolted in camps like Sobibor and Auschwitz, risking everything for a chance at freedom. Resistance was not only armed, people taught children in secret, wrote diaries, and preserved their culture. The Oyneg Szabos archive in Warsaw buried thousands of documents to ensure their story survived. Non-Jews also risked their lives. Oskar Schindler saved over 1,000 Jews. Irina Sendler smuggled out 2,500 children. Entire villages hid families. These rescuers, the righteous among the nations, remind us that one person's courage can save lives. Even small acts of defiance mattered. Resistance proved that dignity and hope could survive, even in the darkest times. The stories of resistors and rescuers are a legacy of courage. They show us that compassion can shine through even the deepest darkness. By 1945, Allied armies closed in on Germany and began liberating the camps. Soviet soldiers reached Majdanek and Auschwitz. Americans and British liberated Buchenwald, Dachau, and Bergen-Belsen. The world was shocked by the images: emaciated survivors, piles of bodies, the evidence of mass murder. For survivors, liberation was bittersweet, freedom mixed with grief, trauma, and the loss of family and home. The journey to rebuild their lives was long and difficult. The world could not ignore what it had seen. The Allies held the Nuremberg trials, prosecuting Nazi leaders for war crimes and crimes against humanity. For the first time, individuals were held accountable for atrocities, even if they claimed to be just following orders. The trials established the principle that some crimes are against all humankind. Nuremberg laid the groundwork for future international justice. While many perpetrators escaped justice, the trials sent a powerful message: there is no impunity for such evil. The world tried to restore order and justice after unimaginable chaos. The legacy of Nuremberg endures in international law today. Justice, though imperfect, was a step toward healing. The Holocaust's lessons are timeless, and remembering is our duty. We honor the 6 million Jews and millions of others not as statistics but as individuals with hopes and dreams. Telling their stories, visiting memorials, and teaching the next generation is a promise. They will not be forgotten. Education is our most powerful tool against hatred and indifference. Learning how the Nazis rose to power and how ordinary people became complicit helps us recognize warning signs today. Never again is not just a slogan, it is a call to action. We must defend human rights, speak out against anti-Semitism and all forms of hate, and challenge denial and distortion. The world was too silent once. We cannot be silent again. As survivors dwindle, it is our generation's responsibility to carry their memories forward. The Holocaust shows the worst of humanity, but also the courage and compassion of resistors and rescuers. By learning from the past, we can build a future of tolerance, respect, and justice. The burden of memory is heavy, but it is one we must carry, together. Let us remember and let us act.